I used to think I was bad at saving money. Turns out I was just really, really good at spending it on things I didn't actually want. Here's what I mean. A few years ago, I had a decent salary. Not rich, but solid. The kind of number you'd be embarrassed to complain about at a dinner party. And yet, I had less than $8,000 in savings. Every month, money came in. Every month, money went somewhere. I couldn't tell you where, not precisely. And that's the part nobody talks about. It's not that middle class Americans are blowing cash on yachts and champagne. It's that they're bleeding out through 100 tiny socially acceptable cuts. The new phone, the brand name jacket, the wedding gift for someone you haven't spoken to in 3 years, the DoorDash order because it's Tuesday and you're tired. None of it feels dramatic. That's the whole trap. I'm going to tell you exactly what I quit and how quitting those things is the closest thing I've found to a legal cheat code for building wealth. Not theory, skin in the game. 1. The status trade. Why I stopped caring what my car said about me. Let me tell you, the most embarrassing financial decision I've ever made. I financed a car I couldn't afford because my coworker got a new one. That's it. That's the whole story. No mechanical reason, no growing family, no long commute that demanded premium comfort. My old car ran fine, but his new lease sat in the parking lot every morning, black and gleaming, and something animal inside me said, "You should have that." So I got the loan, 700 and some dollars a month, for something that started losing value the second I signed. Here's what nobody warned me about the social side of that decision. For maybe 2 weeks, I felt a vague, warm glow of having arrived. Then it just became my car. The new smell faded, the payments didn't, and when I eventually sold it, took the loss, swallowed it, and bought a 4-year-old Honda Accord for cash, I braced myself for judgment. Coworkers noticing, someone saying something at the parking garage. You know what happened? Absolutely nothing. Nobody cared, not even a little. That's the status trade. You pay real money to rent an identity that nobody else is actually tracking. The middle class playbook says earn more, upgrade everything visibly. People who build their first million say drive the car that gets you there, not the one that performs wealth for an audience that isn't watching. The math on this is already well documented. I'm not going to rehash the depreciation curve here. What I want you to sit with is the psychological release that comes from opting out. You stop mentally calculating whether your vehicle matches your professional image. You stop feeling the low grade anxiety of a payment that exists only to maintain an illusion. That energy goes somewhere else. In my case, it went into an index fund that I don't think about because it's boring. And boring is what compound interest runs on. If you're currently financing a car because of how it makes you look, that's not a car payment. That's a monthly invoice for anxiety you chose. 2. The logo tax, paying extra to be a walking billboard. There's a reason luxury brands put their logo on the outside of the bag. It's not for you. It's not even really about you. That logo is a social signal aimed at other people, specifically the people you want to impress or the people you want to feel superior to. The brand knows this. The pricing reflects this. You are paying, in some cases, a 400% markup for the privilege of advertising someone else's company on your body. I'm not moralizing here. I bought a $400 wallet once. Gucci. I told myself it was quality. It wasn't. I've had a $35 Belroy wallet for 3 years now. It holds cards, holds cash, does the one thing a wallet needs to do. And nobody has ever asked me where I bought it. That's the logo tax. The middle class pays it constantly and calls it investing in quality. People building actual wealth know the difference between quality and status premium. Quality is the part of the price that makes the product work better. Status premium is the part that makes other people think you're doing well. Once you start separating those two numbers in your head, you cannot stop seeing it everywhere. The $180 gym shoes versus the $60 ones with the same sole. The $300 sunglasses versus the $40 polarized pair your optometrist uses as a reference. The status premium bleeds into everything: cookware, luggage, furniture, watches, pens. Entire industries exist to extract money from people who want to appear financially secure, rather than actually become financially secure. What I replaced it with wasn't cheap stuff, it was anonymous quality. Brands that spend their budget on materials instead of marketing. Items that last because they're built to last, not because they have a logo that signals they should. The annual savings vary wildly depending on your previous habits. But for me, cutting the logo tax was worth somewhere north of $4,000 a year. Just gone. No deprivation, no downgrade in actual quality of life. Pure noise eliminated. 3. The 3-generation phone rule. The upgrade nobody talks you out of. The most socially normalized financial trap in America right now isn't a mortgage product or a payday loan. It's a rectangle in your pocket. The average American upgrades their smartphone every 2.5 years. The average flagship phone costs $1,000 plus. Carriers have gotten incredibly creative at making this feel free. Trade-in credits, installment plans, zero interest financing. All of it is designed to make sure you never, ever feel the actual cost of constantly chasing the newest device. Here's the rule I adopted: wait 3 hardware generations before upgrading, not 3 years. 3 generations of the same device line, which in practice means you're using a phone that is technically behind by most social standards, but which still does everything a phone does: calls, texts, emails, apps, camera, streaming, without any meaningful degradation in your actual lived experience. The camera on your current phone, assuming it's not 6+ years old, is better than the camera on professional gear from a decade ago. You are not held back by the hardware. You are held back by a marketing cycle that has successfully convinced you hardware inadequacy is the same as human inadequacy. When I stopped upgrading on the consumer schedule, I freed up $400 to $600 per year. Small number, but it also broke the psychological cycle, the anxious glancing at someone else's phone, the reflexive checking of release dates, the vague dissatisfaction with something that works perfectly fine. Broke all of it. The middle class upgrades because the ad said to. The people building real wealth ask a different question: what problem does this actually solve for me right now? If the answer isn't specific, the answer is no. 4. The invisible conveniences: what your impatience really costs. There's a category of spending that doesn't show up as a line item anywhere because it never feels like a decision. DoorDash at 9 p.m. because you're tired. The dry cleaner because ironing takes 20 minutes. The $50 grocery delivery fee because parking is annoying. The handyman for a task that would have taken you one YouTube video and 45 minutes to learn. I call these invisible conveniences, and they have 2 problems: the direct cost and the compound effect on your own capability. Let me be honest about something. Minimalism didn't just save me money by making me buy less. It saved me money by making me do more myself and genuinely enjoy it. When you strip out a lot of the consumption noise, you recover something that modern convenience culture has quietly atrophied: the satisfaction of making, fixing, cooking, building. I started cooking more. Not because I was disciplined, but because I had more time and less mental clutter. I fixed things around my apartment because I stopped outsourcing every minor inconvenience. I learned to press my own clothes, which sounds like nothing until you realize I was spending $80 a month on a dry cleaner for items that didn't actually need dry cleaning. The math on delivery apps alone is staggering. The average American household spent over $1,500 on food delivery in 2024. That's not restaurants, that's delivery apps. Fees, markups, tips, the full package on top of whatever they were already spending eating out. I'm not saying never order delivery. I'm saying that when delivery becomes your default instead of your exception, you've outsourced your budget to your worst, most tired version of yourself at 9 p.m. The cost of hurry is real and it compounds. Every time you pay a convenience tax, you're not just spending money, you're reinforcing the belief that your time is too valuable to do basic things, which makes you less capable, which makes you more dependent on conveniences, which costs more money. It's a slow, comfortable spiral downward. 5. The social yes, the most expensive word in your vocabulary. This one is uncomfortable to talk about, so I'll go first. I spent, over the course of about 4 years in my late 20s, somewhere around $14,000 on social obligations I didn't want to attend. Destination bachelorette, 3 days, flights included, wedding registry gifts for couples I'd lost touch with before the engagement, birthday dinners at restaurants I'd never choose, for people I'd see twice a year at best, office holiday parties where the required gift exchange was $50 minimum and the booze was mediocre. Nobody told me I had to do any of this. I chose it because the social cost of saying no felt higher than the financial cost of saying yes. Here's the reframe that changed everything for me. Saying yes to something you don't actually want to attend isn't generosity, it's conflict avoidance purchased on credit. You're not there because you love those people. You're there because you're scared of what they'll think if you're not. That's not friendship. That's social anxiety with a dress code. Social minimalism, being intentional about which commitments you actually honor and which ones you decline, is one of the least discussed, most impactful financial decisions you can make. And it does double duty, it saves money, and it returns you the most scarce resource you have, which is time. Time that you can put toward the hobby that makes money, the skill that compounds, the sleep that makes you better at everything else. The middle class says yes to everything and wonders why they're exhausted and broke. People building their first $1 million are selective, and they've learned to let other people's opinions of their schedule be those people's problem. A practical threshold I use: if I wouldn't genuinely look forward to this event on a random Tuesday, I don't go. If I'm going to spend the whole time counting down until I can leave, nobody benefits from my presence. Not them, not me. You don't need to be rude. You don't need a big explanation. I can't make it, but I'm wishing you both the best. That is a complete sentence. People get over it faster than you think, and the ones who don't were never really about the relationship anyway. Let's get concrete, because I know someone's doing the mental math right now, and I want to give you numbers you can actually work with. Here's a conservative annual estimate of the savings from everything I've described. Status card downgrade, eliminating a financed vehicle payment, $6,000 to $9,000 per year. Logo tax eliminated, clothing, accessories, brand premium across categories, $2,000 to $5,000 per year. 3-generation phone rule, amortized over upgrade cycles, $400 to $600 per year. Invisible conveniences reduced. Delivery apps, outsourced tasks, $1,500 to $3,000 per year. Social yes replaced with social no. Events, gifts, obligations, $1,500 to $3,500 per year. Conservative total, approximately $11,400 per year. Aggressive total, north of $21,000 per year. Let's use $14,000 as a working number right in the middle, achievable for most people without dramatic lifestyle destruction. $14,000 per year invested into a broad market index fund at a historical average return of 8%. After 10 years, approximately $203,000. After 20 years, approximately $640,000. After 25 years, approximately $1.09 million. There it is, right there. That's the $1 million in the title, not from a side hustle that blew up, not from picking a stock that 10 times, from quitting a specific set of financially stupid habits that most Americans treat as completely normal. The system isn't broken, you're just funding someone else's system instead of your own. Yeah, I want to be direct here because I think financial content is often too polite about this. The middle class upgrades their phone every 2 years, carries a car payment for most of their adult life, pays the logo tax across dozens of categories they've never audited, and says yes to every social obligation because they've confused politeness with financial self destruction. Then they wonder why they can't hit $100,000 in savings by 40. It's not because they don't earn enough. It's not because the economy is rigged against them, though it's certainly not designed to help them. It's because nobody ever sat them down and said, the things you're spending money on are primarily signaling devices for an audience that doesn't care and will forget about it by next week. People who build their first million don't look like you think they look. They drive boring cars. They wear the same rotation of well made clothes that have no logo on them. They have the same phone for 4 years. They cook. They say no to things. They are almost certainly not the most interesting person at the party, but they're not at the party because they didn't want to go. That's the version of minimalism nobody sells you because it's not glamorous. There's no dramatic before and after, just a slow, cumulative, boring accumulation of money that eventually becomes options. Quit the job that's killing you, take the trip that actually matters, retire on your terms, or just sleep without a low grade hum of financial anxiety running in the background at 3 a.m. Here's what I'd do if I were starting this from scratch today. 1 month, one audit. Pull up every transaction from the last 90 days and categorize every single one, not to judge yourself, just to see. Most people have never actually looked. They have a vague sense, a defensive estimate, a round number. The actual number is almost always worse, and seeing it clearly is worth more than any budgeting app because it converts an abstract guilt into a specific solvable problem. From that audit, pick one item from each category in this video. Just one. Don't restructure your entire life. Cancel one subscription you forgot about. Decline one social obligation you are dreading. Stop yourself the next time you feel the itch to upgrade something that works. Then wait. Let it sit. Let the money that would have left your account just not leave. The most counterintuitive thing about minimalism is that the sacrifice period is almost always shorter than people expect. The first month of not upgrading the phone is uncomfortable. By month 3, you've forgotten you wanted it. The first no to a social obligation feels terrifying. By the 5th one, it feels like a superpower. That's the compounding nobody talks about. Your own preferences slowly aligning with your financial goals. Once those two things point in the same direction, the whole game changes. You're going to watch this video and feel inspired for about a day. maybe 2, if it really hit. Then life is going to come back. The group chat about the destination birthday trip, the Apple event, the coworker's shiny new car in the lot, and all the social gravity is going to pull you back toward the default. The people who actually change their financial trajectory are the ones who build systems before that gravity kicks in. Automatic transfers set up before payday. A written rule about phone upgrades. Somewhere you'll see it. A 3-second pause before every RSVP. Do the 90-day audit this week. Not when you have time, this week. And if you want to see exactly how I set up the automatic transfer system that made all of this stick, that video is right there. It's boring. It works.